So welcome to the second half of our Clean and Green kickoff. We are going to go through the Flint property portal in a little more detail. If you haven't already, please download the app. It's available on both Apple phones and Google phones. We have done an update since last season, so all devices should have this available to them, and it should be a new and improved version of the app that you all have been using for the last few years. But for new groups, get familiar with it. It's a great tool to have with doing your community work within Clean and Green, as well as just neighborhood work as well. So the first thing I'm going to cover is kind of just getting familiarized with the different icons that are available on the app. If you're a returning group, those icons are just slightly shifted, but they're the same. So the property lookup tool is going to be that magnifying glass. You'll click that, and then a pane will open where you can type in an address or you can type in a PID, and it'll take you directly to that parcel. If you happen to be in the field on a property and you want it to locate you right then, just hit that little arrow icon and it'll recenter the map right to your current location. And then once you've selected a parcel, that will have a blue outline around it, and you'll know what parcel you're on. If you are actively at that parcel, you will see where your location is in the map by a little blue dot. That's where you are. Kind of think about like when you're in the mall and it tells you this is where you are. That's that blue dot. And then we have our property profile. So if you swipe that bar up, you'll be able to see up to 40 different data points for all properties across the city. It'll tell you ownership, land use type, and if it's a demolition, it'll even tell you the timeline that it's scheduled to come down. And then we have our start survey, which is a very important button. This is how we're going to enter in the information for those property maintenance records. So we do have three other icons are at the bottom of the app. These are the survey tool, layers icon, and the account tool. So the surveys tool, that allows you to kind of switch back and forth between surveys. If you're going from Clean and Green, maybe you've had a property burned down in your neighborhood and you want to update that information via a property update survey and let land bank staff know that conditions have changed. That's how you're going to toggle between the different survey types. Layers, this is a new feature this year. So when you click on that layers icon, you'll be able to switch from satellite view to just parcel outlines, depending on what type of view you prefer. There is also the option of adding or removing parcel IDs that are going to show you on the map. When you zoom into parcels, you'll be able to see what parcel ID it is just laid on top of it. And then the account tool is something new that wasn't always available to groups prior, but it will allow for groups to have their own accounts and track their maintenance in their applications and multiple devices. And we're going to go through how to create an account. It's real simple. So when you do open the map, this is going to be your map view. You'll be able to know you're in the correct map because it'll have all these Clean and Green boundaries. All of the other surveys don't have these boundaries. This is specific just to Clean and Green. And if you aren't seeing those boundaries, remember to use that survey icon. That will allow you to access the Clean and Green survey. It's just going to be Clean and Green 2024. Click on that and Bob's your uncle, you're in the right survey. So we are moving through the map. It is both interactive. You can type an address, you can type a PD, but if you want to just zoom into areas, kind of move around in the map, you can pinch inward, pinch outward to zoom in, zoom out, and just click on parcels as you'd like. This way you can get a little better view sometimes. And again, just highlighting that layers icon and what you'll see there. These are those PIDs. When you zoom in a little more, it's more clear what parcel they're on. But if you don't like the PIDs, and they're interfering with you, just go into that layers icon and then turn off that parcel ID option that will pop up. If you like the PIDs, you can turn those on too. So we've got a few different options for groups, trying to help groups from not having to go through that property profile every time. And so touching a little bit more on the account tool, to create an account, you're just going to tap on that account. It'll ask you to sign up and you just fill that out. Make sure you save your password somewhere that, or make it something real easy to remember. And then you'll log in using that existing account every time. You shouldn't have to log in regularly as long as it's on the same device. And then you just click on that existing account and put in your email and password, and you are in. The great thing that the account tool does offer, if you do create an account, it is not an obligation, but it does allow you to track all of your history of submissions. So you'll see a new icon pop up called posts. Some groups are familiar with this. It's slightly adapted since last season, but it'll allow you to track all of your submissions, and you can even click on those specific parcels and a new window will pop up that'll tell you exactly what happened at that parcel, when you submitted the information, and what type of mow you did. So it's a nice confirmation point if you're questioning, did I submit this parcel or not? Um, Properties will change color codes when you do enter them on the map. So you'll usually have a color code to tell you if you enter data, but it's another backup option. So getting into actually looking up properties and using the different tools and icons, if you click that magnifying glass, that's where you'll put in your address and PID, and you can click on a parcel otherwise. So just select it, that blue outline will pop around it again. And then sliding that bar up will show you the property information. And then you just simply have to slide that back down to change views and look back at the map. And you can start surveying from this icon as well. You can hit that while you're in the property profile, or just when you're in the property preview, that survey icon will be available to you. So looking at some of the questions, none of these are going to be anything different for returning groups, but for new groups, we're going to guide through the questions themselves. So first things first, it's going to ask you what mowing round you're completing this work for. So follow that season schedule. It will let you know what mowing round you're in. And we want to make sure that that's consistent, because it's really, really difficult for us to tell if you're always putting in round 1, but you're on round 3. It's just going to look like round 1 as far as we see it. So really be very careful about entering that in. And then afterwards, it's going to ask you what type of mowing you completed. And Rasha did cover, our full property mows, our half mows, mow strips, and those verified properties that don't need maintenance. And if you would like to learn more about that or get any more clarity, again, it's in, I believe, page 10 of the binder. Then it's going to ask you what month you mowed the grass. This says 2024 now. We just didn't update the screenshot. But it is just going to ask you that timeline, because sometimes, we're on 3-week cycles. Sometimes it'll be different months for the same cycle. So it just kind of helps to track that. And then that information shows up publicly on the portal so residents can see the last time that property was maintained. Then it's going to start asking questions that are beyond just mowing. So, was there any trash on the lot? This is really, really important to answer, yes, if there is trash. And it'll open up a whole series of questions about dumping. We really want to be able to capture all of the properties that are having ongoing dumping issues. Even if you cleaned it up and it's already cleared by the time that you've completed your mowings, we still want to know about that dumping that was there. So please, respond to those questions and let us know the scale of dumping and then the type of materials. So it's going to ask you kind of that scale is going to be based on some very standard sizes that we're all very familiar with throughout our cleaning green work. So, kitchen trash bags, a rolling bin, smaller dumpsters, larger dumpsters. So trying to get a idea of what that scale is of the dumping. We're trying to also determine timelines and frequency. So it's going to ask you how long that trash has been on the lot. And then, if you did remove it, let us know. If it's too much trash that your groups just cannot maintain it and you need assistance, also let us know that. And we'll report those to our property maintenance crews and hopefully get those on our schedules. We do have a lot of property maintenance ongoing across the city, so we may not be able to get to every site, but this is also very, very important data for the illegal dumping project that's ongoing. And so it is going to ask you types of debris. The reason that we ask these questions is so we can kind of determine what's the source. Where is the illegal dumping coming from? Is it mostly from contractors? Maybe it's mostly, whole house cleanouts and you're seeing a lot of furniture and appliances on the site. Maybe it's a car dealership or a tire shop and it's a whole slew of tires. And even mattresses, we're starting to see mattresses be a real issue across the city and trying to get that scale and scope. And maybe it's just plenty of regular old household waste. So trying to determine, where are those sources so we can kind of pinpoint those upstream activities that are starting illegal dumping at the first place before it ever even gets to the vacant property. So then it's going to ask you, if you cleaned up the dumping, and then there's going to be a question about any other issues. So if it's not trash, this list will give you a common issues that groups report to us. So like those dangerous fallen trees, abandoned cars, sinkholes, information like that really helps us to, get the scale and scope of all the different issues that are occurring on lots, as well as we send this information to our property maintenance crews and try to get that on that list. So if we've got some abandoned vehicles, we'll get those vehicles towed off the site. Again, we do have our capacity limitations, but we will try to do whatever we can. After that, you have an opportunity to take a picture of the lot. We really appreciate whenever groups can send us pictures. It helps our evaluations and it lets us to see the lots when they are in that pristine condition right after mowing. We know we're on 3-week mowing schedule, so when we do our in-person evaluations, we don't always see the lot right after it was mowed. So it's always nice to see that, beautiful lot once it's been completed versus when we come back, say 2 weeks later and the grass has already started to grow. So simply all you have to do is just click that camera icon, take a picture of the lot, and then hit next. Oh, there is also an option if you do report any tree issues that need chipping, we can add that in as a request with our crews and put that on their list as well. So we know sometimes groups are able to move those branches into a compost pile, but other times not always the case. If you have any multiple issues, there's going to be a type in question that you can put that out. And then once you've answered all those questions, and remember, this is a intuitive survey. It's not going to ask you all of these questions. It's going to ask you questions that are tailored specifically to the responses that you're providing in those surveys. So this survey could be as short as, 4 questions, or it could be the 10 plus questions that are asking you about dumping, other issues. Try not to skip through them just to make it faster because that data is really important when applying for grants to try to address some of these issues that groups are experiencing. Another question we often get is how do we know that these surveys submitted successfully? You'll get a few different prompts to know this. You'll get a message that displays on the screen saying that that property is submitted successfully. And then the parcel will change color. And that color depends on the mowing round. Each one of our mowing rounds has a designated color, and it just goes in the alignment of a rainbow. You'll also be able to look at that post tab that we covered earlier. And again, we have a update available. So if you already have the app on your phone, it may have already updated depending on the app settings you've selected for your device. But please check that the Apple or Google store and make sure that you're on the most current version of the app. And it will give you all of these additional options and features that we didn't have prior. So with that, we don't have a whole lot of time, but if there's any quick questions, we can cover those, and then we can all start to enjoy what looks like a pretty sunny day out there. Do we have any questions? New groups, returning, anyone, or did we do a pretty decent job talking through?
Melissa, I have a quick question.
All right.
We try to make sure that all of our participants are able to do the online reporting with using the portal. Can each person create their own account?
They sure can.
Excellent.
Yes, yes. And then you'll be able to see each other's work through those color changing icons. So you can have multiple, groups within your group working in an area, all entering data simultaneously. So that is a nice feature that has been added.
He took the
Excellent.
question right out of my mouth because I was going to ask, do you encourage that groups have one account where they keep everything, or just like as Mr. Ishmael asked?
Yeah, so that's a really good point to bring up. That's really dependent on group dynamics. Sometimes some groups really just have like a designated reporter. So if you have one reporter, you probably just want to have that one account, and then you can give that information to other group members if you want to share an account. And then we have other groups that they split up, and they split up that reporting and the work. So in those situations, it might be best to have multiple accounts, and then everybody has their own track record of the properties they've submitted. So it's really group dependent, see which way works best for you within your own neighborhood's groups dynamics. All right. I'll take that as we did a pretty good job covering all the points. Well, if any questions come up following this event, please, please, please feel free to reach out to Rasha via email, phone calls. She'll loop me in with anything that needs additional information. And then it gives you all an opportunity to get to know Rasha a little bit better. She's going to be a great addition to our team. And I suppose with that, thank you all for joining, and so thankful for your time today. We're going to post these videos on our YouTube channel sometime next week. We'll make sure to get those links out so groups can access this information following the event or distribute it to others that were unable to attend.